What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, aka the Ring Snob, for this podcast. And I just want to kind of jump into things. It's been kind of a crazy week, and I want to do things a little bit differently. Let me get my notes here. I should have had this ready, but of course I didn't. So I want to touch down kind of on... rather than go show by show and talk about what I thought and everything like that, I just want to kind of touch down on some of my highlights of this week and the things that have been going on. So, for one, I want to get into starting last Monday night on Raw. After Survivor Series, we had Seth Rollins came out and did a town hall where he brought out all of the back room of the Raw locker room. I should say, and I'll give him a lot of credit. I've been having a lot of problems personally with his character, in terms of like how he's been acting on Twitter and things like that lately. I've just not been feeling what they've been doing with him or what he's been doing, and I think they're doing something interesting. People are calling it a heel turn, but he did not play the heel, so. Like he came out in Chicago in a Jordan outfit when he wrestled. He had the number 23, it was red and black and white. It said Rollins on it, but you got the gist of who he was emulating with his ring attire. And it was interesting because before that happened, he came out with he came out and did his town hall and he blaming everybody. Blaming everybody in the locker room for failing at Survivor Series. And I thought it was an interesting twist to his character because it's like he was playing up what he's been doing on Twitter lately. And, it's an interesting turn, and I liked it. I liked his promo. He had probably, I don't want to say the best promo of the week because I don't know, that Jericho championship bash or Thanksgiving bash that he did celebration was pretty fun, but he did a great heel turn promo. So I'm interested to see where they take him, which is funny because I have not been interested in Seth Rollins for a while. He's been turning me off a lot of stuff. So to see this and to see, then he goes on later and he's wrestling Kevin Owens, which I like what they're doing with Kevin Owens too, but it seems like they're giving Kevin Owens that push of almost like that Stone Cold push, like the anti-authority push. And Rollins is kind of establishment based on his last heel turn, and he never sort of left that. I know he says burn it down, but it always kind of felt like he had one foot in. So especially with so many times he and Triple H since then have kind of had interactions. And Triple H kind of like, you know who you are, and, things like that. So this was interesting. It's interesting to see, especially Owens showing up on TakeOver 2 nights before when this happened, this Raw. And everything up in the air, like, is he going to be in NXT? What's going to happen? It was fun to see him go against Rollins. And I think that could be a really cool grudge if they stick with that. And I think if they keep pushing Rollins in this way, that's like, blame everybody, I'm the best, I never let anybody down. Sort of that whiny-ish, I'm not going to, whiner. He's been a whiner on Twitter and in social media in general. They're using it, it seems. Like, they're like, all right, if you're going to do this, let's run with it, So, if that's the case, I like this turn. And I want to see where it goes. So now it has me wanting to go back to Raw week after week to see where they take it and to see where Kevin Owens takes it. So I'm interested to see what happens there. Now that was really cool. But then on another turn, going and talking about social media, especially, is I kind of wanted to get into a discussion of social media's role in pro wrestling now, because I think it could be used perfectly. A la Chris Jericho, plays perfect heel on it. A la Cody Rhodes. I think but I think there's also been a lot of nitpicking, and it's been going on for a long time. Like the feuds will start on Twitter, but it just seems like you're kind of whining at each other. And Seth Rollins has been doing that for a while, but now, so what we had Mauro Ranallo, who does the commentary on with NXT. He did Takeover, and he was passionate, and he was kind of all over. And Corey Graves, who does the commentary on SmackDown, came out and criticized him. Basically saying, there's two other All-Stars or Hall of Famers that are on that commentary. Kind of let's let them weigh in. And now a lot of things are speculation, a lot of things are rumors. Mauro Ranallo did not show up for his part on Survivor Series next night, and he's outspoken about his bipolar disorder, and I get it. I'm bipolar myself, and have depression and such. So I see where something like that, a criticism like that, especially considering he's been dealing with this in the past. Like he had issues with bullying within the WWE universe in the past. So and it did its damage, I want to say. So and I get it. So like to get attacked like this. Now, before I make it seem, because again, a lot of this is rumor. We're still figuring out what's what, and we don't know. He did not go back to NXT on Wednesday, so, but he has been seen doing commentary. I think he was doing a boxing event a few nights after. So, there's a lot of speculation going on. But Corey Graves has come out. He kind of doubled down on everything, and he came off really snide and kind of crappy. And then he came out on his podcast and he was just like, it was just meant to kind of, build up the rivalry of the brands and such. But it didn't play like that to me. Like, yeah, you may be doing that, but you had the weird thing with Booker, which seemed, they seemed to like squash that real quick, but Booker looked pissed in a lot of that commentary when they were doing it. Now, Booker's a lot of things, but like hiding his emotion isn't one of them. And we've seen that for years and years and years. But and he was pissed during that whole commentary thing. And then they, it seems like they were pissed on the podcast that they were doing and things like that, and then they kind of squashed it. It honestly, it seemed to me in that situation with the Booker situation that Booker got pissed, Booker called him on it, and it got inside, it got squashed. They're like, hey, we work together, you got to deal with it. And it kind of seems that's what's going on here. Now with Corey, who knows? I don't know. I like Corey Graves. I like him when he fills in at the Jim and Sam show, which is few and far between, but he does. I like his podcast, After the Bell. I like him on commentary. I thought him and Renee were two of the best the best commentating team that we've had in years. If you had gotten Michael Cole out of there, those two just going at it were reminiscent of Gorilla Monsoon, and if you freed them up a little bit more to be them and to play it up, I think could have been reminiscent of Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. Now I'm not saying on that level because that's an epic, legendary level, and it would take them years to get to that level. But they were good. They were very good together. So to see this, it kind of hurt a little bit to see because I like Corey Graves a lot, and to see him pick on him, even if it was meant in that way as a way to kind of have like a brand ribbing sort of thing. I just feel like you could have attacked anybody else at that time to set that up. Or if, you caused the guy to quit Twitter and he hasn't been on the show since. Hopefully he comes back. He's a great commentator and want to see him back. But you could have done it differently. At least call the guy first. Like, if that's what it's meant to be, call the guy first. The guy has been bullied in the WWE before by other superstars. call them up and be like, hey, listen, I was thinking about doing this. What do you think? Like, if it's all, that's what it's all a part of. If it's all a part of the game, let them know. That's what and I've heard a lot of people say, like, this is the world of wrestling. This is what it is. Sometimes you gotta have a thicker skin, and I get that. But we are in a different world than we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and before. Promos are scripted now in WWE. A lot of stuff is scripted. So when you go off, a lot of the other commentators, things like that, it's all scripts, and you can't have somebody go after, you can't have somebody go after somebody else without letting them know. That's just how it is. Like, I think personally. So with that, I hope they squash it. I hope everything gets handled. But I really think, honestly, like, I got slammed on Twitter for the past 2 weeks for having an opinion on movies. Like, it wasn't anything social. It wasn't a social injustice or anything like that. I just said, like, I don't like this actor. I don't like these movies. And everybody just blew up on me. And, like, I got a lot of hate. And I was like, it like walloped me in a way. And I was just like, right. Like, I don't see where this is coming from. I could see if I said something nasty where this is coming from. Or if I said something that was just non-progressive or something like that. Or just, like, I could see it. But, like, yeah, I don't like this. I don't like the direction these movies or horror movies are going in this round. Or something like that. And then they get trashed for it. Because you have a different opinion from me. You do like certain horror movies or something that I didn't like. That like, it just goes to show, like, I was like, I gotta be out. So, like, social media is a powerful tool. We all know that. So to see it being used in this fashion, like how Seth Rollins has been using it, or to kind of trash people, like Will Ospreay, the interaction you had with him about money and things like that. And, like, Will Ospreay is, like, one of the best in the business. like, and he didn't say anything. He didn't trash you. He was just like, hey, man, what about me? Like, we should have a match or something like that. But you see what I'm saying? Like, with social media, it's like, it's such a powerful tool. Don't stop using it for bad, or call somebody ahead of time and just be like, this is what I'm going to do. And I get, like, maybe it's like off the cuff, you want to do it, but it's not the world we live in, and we got to be cool. And it would have been nice if Corey Graves did that before this kind of blew up. So that's just my feelings on everything I've seen. I saw the tweets after Dave Meltzer and things like that, and I'm not even gonna get into that because I like Dave Meltzer. I like his shows. I like Brian Alvarez. I like, all their shows, Wrestle Talk, those guys, stuff like that. And I think doing something like this, you sometimes, like, your comments and things like that on social media are going to catch heat, and that helps in a way. But again, like, you're just going after trashing. Like, why would you double down and why would you trash Dave Meltzer, or why would you do this? If then you're going to go on your podcast and you're going to say, oh, it was all just for kind of brand messing with each other, kind of like just having that angle. It doesn't make sense to me. Neither here nor there. I'm just kind of ranting on about it now. And so one thing I'll talk about, one of my favorite things this week was that hit Keith Lee did on Adam Cole. Sending him straight into the audience. God, these guys are wonderful to watch. Like, they really are. NXT especially. Like, they're just beautiful to watch. That's dangerous as hell, though. That really is. That's a big guy to be sending. I don't want to say a little guy, but comparatively, a little guy, to be sending him that far back. Now, I know he got caught and everything else, but that could have ended very badly. So watching that, I was just kind of like, I had to watch that on repeat like 15 times in a row. Because I was just like, wow, did they really just do that? That was insane. I loved it, though. And NXT was a great show this week. I really enjoyed it. AEW, another great show this week. Raw, other than a couple of things, not to, I wasn't, the Seth Rollins heel turn and the matches were pretty good. but nothing major. SmackDown, SmackDown. So just wasn't great in my opinion. Um, but yeah, so and I also want to talk about well, you had Jericho's Thanksgiving celebration bash. Man, that guy goes all out. He knows how to pull the strings, press the buttons or pull strings or whatever you want to say to really piss people off. And it's glorious in a way that it's just a thing of pure beauty. He's probably the best, one of the best of all time, but just one of the greatest heels of all time. He better go down as one of the greatest heels. One of the greatest mic men, one of the greatest, performers of all time, and definitely one of the best heels of all time. And like pulling out his dad and his dad's Ranger jersey and giving the entire Inner Circle Rangers jerseys and saying the Blackhawks suck all while they're in Chicago was just beautiful. It was amazing. And just everything they did along, and then SCU coming out for the attack. The whole thing was a great opener to the show. And I love things like that. I love when things are set up like that. That's why I like the openings for Raw. I don't want in a match in the first 5 seconds. Set up a story for me. Please set up a story for me. And I think that's what I'm going to go into kind of in the next show. Just kind of story-wise. Like what I miss, what we don't really see anymore. And, I'm going to be doing a video review that was by request too. And it's kind of a nostalgic video. From 92. So keep an eye out for that. But so watching that too, like I'm just like, I miss those things. It was those little nuances that we saw that just they don't do anymore, and it's sad to see. But I want to talk more about that in the next show, and I'm gonna kind of I want to have my notes ready for that. I don't want to just jump right into it because I really want to touch down on some things. But I want to end it. I finally got to watch the entirety of the Austen Taker interview. And if you haven't watched it, watch it. I touched down on it last week because I watched some of it, but then I had to record the shows and it was just had to hop off. So I finally got to watch the entirety, and it was. I love hearing old stories, especially old wrestling stories from the business. I wish my top wish is to have Vince McMahon completely open up in an interview and just tell stories. Just like epic stories from back in the day. I love it when wrestlers do it. Roddy Piper used to tell some amazing stories. There was an interview he did with Joe Bob Briggs on Monster Vision back in the 90s. And he told some great stories from back in the day. And then he told, what do you call it? Table for Three. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name of the show. WWE has Table for Three, which is fantastic. And some of them, like, they don't grab me as much because some of the newer guys and girls talking. And I kind of dig the old stories, again, getting into it. And but there's an episode where it's Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, Roddy Piper, and I think it's Mean Gene, and they're just telling stories from back in the day on the road, and it's beautiful. I love that. I love old stories like that, and I want more. I always want to suck that up. Like, it's fantastic, and so. The reason I bring that up is because it was really cool to see Austen and Taker in an interview. It's just Steve and Mark, really. Like, there was no characters there. It was just them talking about the business and their careers back in the day and just having a real discussion. And I love that. That's why, podcast wise, Steve Austin is one of the best. He's an amazing interviewer. He gets you nice and relaxed, and he just gets you to open up, but he relates everything, and it's just fantastic. I love his podcast. Just like Jericho too. Jericho's Talk is Jericho he does the same thing. Just terrific interviewers. And I think because they were such great promo guys, they know how to do it. They know how to just talk. And same with The Rock. He's always great in interviews, things like that. And I would love to see The Rock do one of these episodes with Austen and just talk about back in the day too. That would be amazing. Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to touch down on. So if you have WWE Network, I would definitely go check out the Broken Skull podcast with Austen and Taker. They just did the first episode. It came out last week after Survivor Series, so it's up. And that's kind of where I want to end it. I mean, they told some great stories on it, but I want to leave it for you guys because it's The Undertaker breaking character really for the first time out publicly ever. And doing an interview like this for the first time really ever. Like, he's done it before, but like this is a big thing. And you know, and especially doing it involved in a way with WWE, you know, where it's like a mass appeal or mass viewing, I should say. So it was definitely cool to see. So that's kind of where I want to end things with this week. But I want you to reach out to me. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Seeing Snobs YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. It's the Seeing Snobs page. At the Seeing Snob on Instagram and Twitter. And I want to hear more from you guys. I want to know what you guys think. And I take, like I'm doing one today. It was a special request review. So it was to watch an old like pay-per-view. This was actually an old Coliseum home video, which was awesome to do. And review it. And it was one I've never seen before. So I was excited to check it out. And that was a request from Nick, and thank you, Nick. And that will be up probably the same time this is up. So I will review that, but you know, send me more if you guys want me to, you know, send me messages or shoot me comments, things like that. You know, if there's anything you want me to review or discuss, or I'm always open for that stuff. And you know, give me some feedback. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's some other things you like to hear, or you know, you don't want to hear, or however you want it to go. Definitely up for it. I love that stuff. So looking forward to it. So follow us, like I said, and everything else. Yada yada yada. But I'm gonna say goodnight because I still have a review to do, and I am exhausted. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you next week.